Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to wherever you might be in this world of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we have become accustomed to doing, we're going to start off this program, as we have for the last while, with our nation's Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh, yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it. America's finest right there.
America's finest, that's exactly right. The America's finest, the United States Army Corps Quartet. Thank you both, thank you all, I should say, for coming and singing our nation's national anthem, and we appreciate the Barbershop Quartet Convention for giving us our nation's Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you so much for that. Now, folks, I want to welcome everybody here again to our show tonight. We have a lot to talk about. Cline Motor says Ron Tyler can fire start from a volcano, the Clear Lake volcanic field, venting, cracking open in random spots, creating forest fires. Yes, it can. Okay? If you have pictures of the Clear Lake volcanic field cracking open, we want to see those pictures. Okay? I'll tell you that we want to see those pictures. We have nothing to substantiate that happening. However, it is possible. Okay? We have suspicions that magma beneath the surface has cracked open areas of fields across California and even in Oregon and or Washington, and has caused forest fires. We have reason to believe 2 years ago there was a massive fire in Washington state that may have started from underground magma. We saw pictures and video of fire burning beneath the ground and coming up through someone's grass and burning their grass and burning their homes down. Okay? If you have pictures of lava that has pierced the surface and has started fires, we want those pictures. If you can get them to us, we'd appreciate it. Now, we have several reports of earthquakes that people have talked to us about today. Those earthquakes happened yesterday. I'm going to first talk about those today. I want to bring them to the forefront because we are going to be talking about earthquakes up and down the Pacific coast of the United States in a little while. I want to talk about this first. Okay? Aftershocks are likely following an earthquake, well, 2 earthquakes yesterday. One near Dana Point, California, and one near Newport Beach. Sometime after 3 o'clock yesterday morning, Sunday morning, we had a 3.6 magnitude earthquake that hit the area near Dana Point, California. Okay, that's over by Los Angeles, by the way, for those of you that don't know it. We had another earthquake just after 5 a.m. yesterday morning hit Newport Beach. Newport Beach, California. Now, I searched for seismograms to prove this. I searched seismograms on the Caltech site, California Institute of Technology in Los Angeles. I searched it. I could not find anything to substantiate this except for an article that pointed it out. Okay? An article that pointed it out in Laguna Niguel, Dana Point, California area called Patch, P-A-T-C-H. This article appeared on their front page. It says, coastal Orange County residents were awakened early in the morning hours of Sunday morning by a small earthquake. The magnitude 3.6 trembler struck at 3:41 a.m. off the coast of Dana Point, California, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. And the U.S. Geological Survey did not have it on the map. I checked. Okay? The quake was about 9 kilometers deep, which is just about 5.4 miles deep. There were no immediate reports of injury or damage. Now, these are small quakes. If this was indeed a 3.6 magnitude earthquake that hit yesterday morning off of Dana Point, it probably was mostly absorbed by the ocean off the coast. Now, this again is a small earthquake. We do not usually get damage until we get up to like 4.2 to 4.5, which are moderate quakes. We don't usually see damage. We don't usually get any major felt reports from these earthquakes unless they are moderate earthquakes. We can get felt reports at 3.5 and 3.6 tremblers. Regardless of where it's at, we get felt reports from small earthquakes. And yes, this was felt. Okay? But there's no reports of aftershocks in the few hours after this quake. And then, just after 5 o'clock, we had another quake, a 3.5 over near Newport Beach. Okay? But the most likely fault responsible for Sunday's quakes was the Palos Verdes fault. And I even checked Palos Verdes, and I did not see any substantiation on the seismogram from Palos Verdes, either yesterday or today. But according to Caltech, that's what they're saying. Okay? Now, I want to tell you this. And yes, we've had some small, minor tremors all over Los Angeles today. even upwards of a minor earthquake, 2.5, 2.6, all over Los Angeles County today, and over towards Riverside and San Bernardino counties as well. Now, aftershocks from one of these quakes may be expected in the next few days. So you guys might feel a 3.0, even a 2.5 for some people that are very, very sensitive. Okay? This can happen. There is a small chance, about a 5% chance, that a larger earthquake could occur within the likelihood over time. Over time. Now, before we started this weekend on Friday night, we told you that we were thinking that we may have a large earthquake in Southern California. That did not happen. And I am grateful that it did not happen. I am very grateful that that did not happen. Things are ripe for a large earthquake in Southern California. Now, I'm not calling for it right now, but I'm telling you my feelings on the situation are that conditions are very ripe for a large earthquake to happen in Southern California, and it could happen at any time. We've talked about this on previous programs. We're going to talk more about it tonight. But first, before we get off on that, I want to talk about some other things tonight that are very important. First off, I told Demon Catman on the chat that we would be talking about England tonight. Parts of the United Kingdom, Britain, are set to have the hottest temperatures on record today, with a forecast in London near 40 degrees centigrade, which is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this does not normally happen in England. For a perspective, the average high temperature is only over in the low to mid 70 degrees Fahrenheit in London for this time of year. That is the average high. This would be like a high of 123 degrees in Charlotte, North Carolina today. That did not happen. We had 91 degrees temperature here in Morganton, North Carolina, and we are southwest of Charlotte, about an hour and 20 minutes southwest of Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, this is hot, guys. This is burning hot. We've had high temperatures all over the world. Now, I have dear friends all over Europe, all over England. Demon Catman, I've got my friend Rick, I've got various other friends over in Wales and Scotland and Ireland. You guys I pay tribute to today, because you guys are also seeing the highest temperatures that are on record. Now, there is a report of the Royal Air Force having to close their biggest Air Force base in England because the runways buckled in the heat. The runways buckled in the heat. That's huge. That's huge. So guys, everyone, and I'm talking to everybody around the world now, all of you need to have your emergency preparedness kits ready. You need to have plenty of water. Don't forget water wherever you go. Take bottled water with you or canteens of water. Somehow make sure you have cool water to quench your thirst. Maybe something that you can put on a rag and wipe it across your face to help cool yourself off. If at all possible, you need to stay indoors as much as possible in an air-conditioned room. Now, I understand that a lot of apartments and homes in England and various places around the world, including here in the United States, do not have air conditioning. I understand that. But it's very important to keep your bodies cool. Make sure you have plenty of food. We've been talking about food storage and emergency preparedness for a very, very long time. We talked about survival food that also requires water to constitute the food. It's very important that you have paid attention to what we've been talking about for over 3.5 years now. This is only going to save your lives. That's why we're here, talking about preparedness. We're talking about things that are happening right now. Now, a lot of this heat is geoengineered, meaning the elites in the world have been basically messing around with our weather, with technology. We've talked about this. We've talked a lot about it in nauseam. Okay? We've talked about it a lot. And it's not going to stop. Okay? In the past, even the past few weeks, we've talked about this organization right here. They fired up this machine in Switzerland, and untold things have been happening, not just around the world, but out in space as well. And we can't keep track of everything that's happening. But I'm telling you, between this organization here and this organization right here, and please do not put this in the chat, do not put any of this in the chat, but those organizations right there are responsible for our weather and things that are going on around us. Please, folks, take care of yourselves. Nobody's going to be able to do it but you. So keep wet towels, keep water around you so you do not become overheated, and that can cause heat stroke, that can cause untold health problems. If you have diabetes, this is another issue with people that are too hot. It can cause all sorts of problems. Please take care of yourselves. Heart attacks, blood pressure problems. Take care of yourselves. Please take care of yourselves. Demon Catman says it wasn't that hot today, but was closer to 30 degrees centigrade in Suffolk. Wow, that's still good and warm in Suffolk. That's good and warm. I'm glad to hear that it wasn't that warm today. That's great. Now, Lamb is a Light saying hello from Western North Carolina. Lamb is a Light is just about an hour, 15 minutes southwest of me. And she's saying it's raining big time right now. Okay, she's up in the mountains. She's up in the mountains up there, and it's raining big time. Now, we could get some rain here. We could get some rain. I can't. Let me see if I can pull this off. I don't know whether I can pull this off or not. Okay. If you can see out here, you see an air purifier here that I have right near my window, but there's very few clouds, maybe some high clouds and some popcorn cumulus clouds out here right now, but nothing really dangerous pending at this point in time in my neck of the woods. Now, it can happen that weather changes, and weather does change in this area. Weather changes very rapidly. But right now we don't have any huge weather problems except heat. It reached 91 degrees Fahrenheit today here in Morganton, North Carolina, where I'm at. That's how hot. And that's toasty. That's toasty. Yesterday we got some rain during the afternoon, and before it rained, folks, guess what happened? The pavement was hot, and as the rain hit the pavement, it almost sizzled on the pavement. Now, you need to know that temperatures on pavement or concrete are usually hotter than air temperature, and when that cooler rain hit that hot pavement, it sizzled and steamed, and we had some little bit of fog. That happens quite often here. So guys, beware of that as well. Beware of that as well. Now, just for people that want to know, last Friday I had been scheduled for another spinal biopsy. Actually, it's another biopsy, but it was a spinal biopsy that had been scheduled for last Friday morning. That did not occur. On Thursday, I got a telephone call from the spinal radiologist telling me that the spot that they had previously seen on a radiogram that had been done from a PET scan that I had done over about a month or so ago, it was not either large enough, and the doctors did not think it was cancer on my spine. In consultation with my own personal physicians, plural, it was decided that I needed a bone scan. So they're going to scan, they're hopefully going to be calling me within the next 24 hours or so, and we'll arrange to have a bone scan done to see if the cancer has spread anywhere. But right now it's still in my prostate. The doctors professionally have not treated anything. They haven't done a single darn thing. I'm treating it holistically. Now, given that, I went in to see my doctor today to get some lab work done, to get another PSA test done, which is a blood test that will reveal whether my cancer has spread anymore with the numbers. Okay? When I first was diagnosed with cancer back in January this year, the number was 18. The normal numbers are from 2 to 4. 2 to 4 would be normal. 18 was high. Within 30 days after that, another PSA test was done at my request. At that point in time, my PSA numbers were 36.3, which was double what it was in January. Then come about 2 months ago, back in May, I had a PET scan done. No, I didn't. It was a biopsy. I first had a biopsy done. It was either in April or the first part of May. The biopsy revealed that I had prostate cancer. Okay? Then about 3 or 4 weeks after that, I had a PET scan done, which was a full body scan. That full body scan revealed that my cancer maybe had spread to my spine, which is not the case at this point in time anyway. So now we're waiting to hear from the doctors again at the hospital to do a bone scan. At that point in time, after the bone scan, we should get some kind of knowledge of what exactly is going on with me. And maybe at that point in time, the doctors will decide on a plan of treatment. Meanwhile, I'm doing what I can to reduce those PSA numbers and try to get rid of this cancer. I've been doing it holistically, and I'm hoping within the next 24 to 48 hours, I'll get the results of the new PSA test. And like I said, I'm hoping from the treatment that I have been doing that my PSA numbers will go lower. That's what's happening. So now you know the rest of the story. I appreciate everybody that continues to donate to our program and donate to our treatment. I want to give some thanks to some people that have donated on PayPal. Shannon Weedman has contributed on PayPal, which I greatly appreciate. Susan Haynes, Marina Parvanen, Dee Gardner, and Diane Howard. I appreciate you all ever so much, and I appreciate it. Anyone that considers continuing to support our program would be greatly appreciated. I'm still incurring massive amounts of bills when it comes to medical treatment, and I've had to pay some of that myself. I've had to pay quite a bit of that already myself, and I've got payment plans that I'm on. So we're going to take it through payments each month. With that said, I appreciate all of you helping contribute to me to get through this. It's hard. I'm also having to try to keep this program on the air, which I'm trying to do. Yes, I've taken some time off. I didn't want to, but I had to take some time off. Now, just to give you an idea of what has happened to me during the weekend, I had a very hard weekend health-wise. Very hard. I had extreme back pain. I had pain in my legs and my feet. It was excruciating at times. I was still able to do my Sunday Come Follow Me class yesterday, but I had a hard time even getting up yesterday morning. But I was still able to do my class. And I appreciate those of you that attended that class yesterday and continue to view that program that I put up. That means the world to me. With that said, I'm going to continue to do as many programs as I possibly can with your support and your love and your prayers. I really appreciate that. And I thank God that I have such wonderful family that help me out. We pray for you as well. Those of you that have asked prayers, sent me emails, sent me messages, yes, I am indeed praying for you as well. We all are. Those of you that are over on our Discord channel, we try to get over there as often as possible and put our 2 cents worth in, and we try to answer questions as well. I love you and I appreciate you, and I'm doing all that I can to give you information as to what is going on in your neck of the woods. I believe it's very important that I help communicate with you as well. That's part of our plans. Please, folks, I also ask you to make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We have 54 people watching our program right now, 31 thumbs up. That means the world to us. If we were on our main channel, we'd probably have 250 to 300 or more people watching the program. Now, with that said, YouTube is lying to us. Up and out lying to us. I got a message today that within the last 4 days that we've had over 3,000 viewers of our program. So I went back and checked. It does, the numbers that they put out for all of you to see don't add up to 3,000. They don't even add up to more than 1,500 people. Yet they say that we've had 3,000 plus views, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure we have over 3,000 views, but YouTube is not telling us about that. Before I came on the air today, YouTube was still penalizing me on my main channel and not letting us broadcast on the main channel because I brought up politics a week ago. And for that, I apologize, but not really. I apologize to you because many of you have been inconvenienced, and I apologize for that. But folks, we are all being lied to by our government. YouTube is just one finger of the government. They are helping the government control our freedom of speech, which is basically gone. If we cross over a line at any point in time, they'll shut us all down. Lamb is the Light says, I hope you're able to cook for yourself. Yes, I am, at this point in time. I appreciate everything you guys do. Yeah, Lamb is the Light, right. Lamb is the Light is very right. YouTube is blank, and you can fill in the blank. Yes, they are. But they're just one arm of the federal government. They're literally trying to shut us down. Biden, just about a month or two ago, established the Office of Disinformation. The Office of Disinformation. information, part of the White House Communications Center. Isn't that just great? The government setting up an office to put out false information. Disinformation is false information. It's crazy. It's crazy. Hello, Amy. It's good to see you here. Don Patoka says Ron's magic crystal ball is broke and it's out for repair. Yes, I don't have a crystal ball, but I have this. I'm going to show you something. I've got this. This is the only kind of ball that I have. This is Present Predicto. Okay? I'm going to
I don't know, to be honest.
He doesn't know, to be honest. How long are we going to be on YouTube?
Not even a little bit. Not even 1%.
Isn't that something? Not even 1%. That's hilarious. Anyway, that's funny. Okay? We are going to try to stay on this broadcast venue for as long as possible. I'm doing some research on some other venues, and if I decide to change, I will let you know when that happens. I promise you, I'm not just going to drop you out into midair and not be around for all of you. I want to make sure that we are able to get as much information as possible to you, the public. The public deserves to know what is going on. Okay? Time will tell us all part of that boot Orwell was on about Big Brother. Yes, I know. The book that George Orwell wrote and the movie, the subsequent movie after that, are very real. It's all coming to pass. And I could go deep into it, and maybe one day we will. But I've got a lot of other information to pass on to you tonight. So please hang out with that. Another thing that I want to tell you is this. You've heard the phrase, in case of fire, take the stairs. This is my last funny bit for the day. In case of fire, take the stairs, and you see this man running with stairs in hand, running away from the fire. Now, folks, we have real situations here. We have very real situations here all over the world. We have fire in England. We have fire going through Spain and Portugal right now, and it's scorched earth policy. The fire is destroying homes, destroying automobiles, and destroying lives. We have fire in South America, Central America. We have fire in Mexico. We have fire in Australia. We have fire everywhere. Okay? I'm going to pay tribute to our firefighters now. Okay? These are 3 firefighters from south of Salt Lake City in a town called Lehi. L-E-H-I. Lehi, Utah. These gentlemen were fighting a fire that was east of Salt Lake City near a town called Tooele. T-O-O-E-L-E. Tooele, Utah. They finished fighting that fire, came back to their fire station south of Salt Lake, took a shower, got cleaned up, restocked their truck, and then they found out that they were being reassigned to another fire in Nevada. Like I said, we have fires everywhere. I want to pay tribute to not just these gentlemen here, but firefighters from literally all over the world that are out here trying to save lives and save property. You guys have guts. You guys put it on the line everywhere you go. And we love you and we appreciate you more than anybody will ever know. Now there's another thing that's going on here, and I'm going to talk about it. This is a helicopter. This helicopter was a sheriff's helicopter, and it crashed in New Mexico responding to a fire. This came to us from KSL TV in Salt Lake City. The sheriff's helicopter crashed while responding to a wildfire in New Mexico. This is happening more than we want to know about. It's happening everywhere. Now, Utah got rain this past week. They did get some rain, and it helped with the fires. It also helped with some of the reservoirs. But, folks, as I said last week, Salt Lake got 1 inch. In various places around Salt Lake City, less than an inch. So it didn't do a whole lot for putting water in the reservoirs. Very little. We're still asking people to pray for rain, not just in Utah, but literally around the world. And hopefully the rain will not cause further fires. Yes, that has happened. We know that. With rain and thunderstorms, sometimes we get lightning that hits the ground and causes fires. We hope that doesn't happen, but we need the rain. So pray to God for rain. Don Patoka said he got 0 rain. Doesn't surprise me. Not at all. Now, with this said, I want to put up another slide here. Right here. This is Lewiston, Idaho. Several of our viewers and friends live up here in the Lewiston, Idaho area. Folks, they have been through heck and back, literally. Evacuation orders have now been lifted as the fire crews continue to fight the Lewiston fire. The express fire that they have right now started Sunday night north of US 95 near the Clearwater River and the Clearwater River Casino and Lodge. It's burned 1,200 acres. 1,200 acres. Firefighters are working to get a wildfire under control near Lewiston today. Okay? The Nez Perce, which is an Indian tribe up there, the Nez Perce County Emergency Management reported the Clearwater River Casino residential areas and RV parks in the immediate area were evacuated, but that order has since been lifted. The Express gas station and casino are also reopened. Nez Perce County posted the wildfire crews are actively establishing a perimeter to contain the burn. Please, those of you that live in that area, please do not enter the area north of Highway 95 in the vicinity of the casino. Use caution and reduce speeds on Highway 95 in both directions. Those of you that are around any fire scene, reduce your speed for firefighters and police crews in the area. You don't want to hurt any one of those crews. Slow down, do not drink and drive, take care, and use extreme caution. Smoke may reduce visibility, and fire crews and law enforcement may be working alongside the highway. The Idaho Department of Lands reports that the fire has burned at least 1,200 acres and is still spreading. Smoke from the fire has reduced visibility in the area of US 95. Drivers are asked to be alert and reduce their speeds on US 95 between Lewiston Port of Entry and US 12, 1 to 4 miles south of the Lewiston area. This is an improvement from overnight Sunday when the highway had to be shut down. It is back open to traffic as of 6 a.m. this morning. Now the information photos that I am showing you came from social media. You see the flames coming over the hillside. But we're trying to give you the latest information here. Nez Perce Tribal Communications told KREM2, Channel 2, that there was no damage to the casino or the gas station. Some older outbuildings on newly purchased property were damaged, but the property damage is not serious. Okay, this is a breaking story from KREM News 2, Channel 2 News in that area. And we will be updating that information as soon as the information becomes available to us. Okay? I am going to do my best to make sure you have the latest information about these fires. Okay? I'm going to try to do my best to make sure you have that information. I think it's very important. Now on to earthquakes. Earlier today, we had an earthquake, and as you can see, this is southeast of Puerto Rico. This is in what they call the Leeward Islands here in the Caribbean. This was a 4.2 moderate earthquake near Dominica in the Leeward Islands today. Okay? That's what's been happening. Earthquakes have not stopped. I want to briefly go over to the USGS map because I have a lot of things I want to show you here. This is over near Svalbard. Svalbard is an island area, and it's owned by Norway, by the way, but this earthquake was a 5.9. This was a very large 5.9. Now, you guys have heard me talk about 0.9 before. 0.9 anything means it was a much larger earthquake. Now, as far as I can determine, I don't think it was much more than a 6.3 or a 6.4. As of about an hour or so ago, when I looked at the helioplots, I felt that the body wave had finally stopped. Now, this happened earlier this morning. And for the body wave to continue on as it did, it said it was a very large earthquake, possibly a 6.2, 6.3. And I'll look at more information after I get off the air today. But this was one of the largest earthquakes of today. Now, why are we having these earthquakes today? There's a very good reason why we're having these earthquakes today. Remember those solar flares that we talked about? Yes, the solar flares started hitting us yesterday evening. Now, this is only a class M. That solar flare was only a class M. And we're having some other flares that are launching off the sun because that solar coronal hole is Earth facing. And as long as that thing is Earth facing, which it probably will be until probably tomorrow, as we rotate around the sun, Earth rotates around the sun, we're going to pull ourselves out of the front of that coronal hole. But there are other holes on the sun that have launched solar flares at us before. And as we rotate around the sun, we're going to be in for more solar flares. So you guys need to stand by for that. Now, what does this mean? The solar flares contribute plasma radiation out into space. And when those solar flares shoot out from the sun, what happens to us? That solar radiation shoots out from the sun out into space, and it comes into contact with the Earth. And we have a weak magnetosphere. Our magnetosphere is in a place where it hasn't been for a very, very long time. This can only happen when we've come out of a solar minimum. And that's where we're at. We're just coming out of a solar minimum. So we have a weak magnetosphere that's not able to protect us sufficiently to stop some of this radiation and other particles from entering the Earth's atmosphere. Some of this plasma radiation is hitting the Earth's surface. Now, this is not good for various reasons. Yes, we're having earthquakes. Yes, we are having earthquakes. Now, folks, it's a sad state of affairs. But plasma radiation heats up the plates. That's one of the reasons we had that earthquake up in Svalbard. Last night, we had another earthquake over here near Easter Island, in the Easter Island region. It was also a 5.6 magnitude earthquake in this area right here. USGS has now taken it down. Okay? So this is one of the biggest earthquakes. This one and the one up at Svalbard, the 5.9, which may have been larger, those are the two largest earthquakes that have hit us in the last 12 hours. 12 to 18 hours. But as this plasma radiation hits the Earth's surface, it penetrates into the plates. As it penetrates into the plates, it heats up the plates. And all that gunk and grime that gets in between the plates and holds everything into place, that stuff heats up to form a oil-like substance that allows the plates to more freely move. This is one of the reasons, among many, that these earthquakes are happening. And we're going to see more and more of this happen into the near future. It's going to happen, I promise you. But it's not just that. These solar flares also contribute to having radio and television communications disrupted. We saw some of that yesterday. We had our cable transmission for various channels interfered with because of these solar flares, this radiation. It also affects radio telecommunication with police, fire, ham radio, medical, air to ground, airplane communication between air traffic control and airliners in the air, and the military. And air to ground, NASA to the space station communication, and satellite communication to the ground. It interferes with that. And sometimes it'll burn up the satellites. That happens. I'm just warning you. It's not over. It's not over till the fat lady sings, and I haven't seen the fat lady sing in a very long time. Now, as you can see in this particular slide here on USGS, we've not had any major earthquakes in this area. And I'm talking about South America, Central America, the United States, and Canada. But I'm going to talk about some earthquakes here. I think I got some information, and I think you need to know about it. First off, over here in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia. I'm going to go here first in Papua New Guinea. This is a 4.5 near Madang, Papua New Guinea. A 4.5, this is 182 kilometers deep. During the weekend we had some earthquakes over in Fiji, Vanuatu, and Samoa that were deep earthquakes. This one is not deep, it's a 4.5 moderate earthquake. However, we go further west. This is over in Indonesia, Aveyah, Indonesia. This is a 4.8. Still a moderate earthquake, but it is the higher range moderate. Okay, they say this was 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. We go straight along this same fault. Here we have a 4.4. 4.4 just off the coast of southern Sumatra. Now notice where all three of these earthquakes hit. It's the same fault. There are 7 different plates operating in this area. 7 different plates, one subducting under the other, just like I showed you with my example earlier. The plates, one subducting under the other. 7 different plates in this area subducting. That's why we have earthquakes here. And the USGS is not telling us the truth about earthquakes here in Indonesia or any part of Asia. They're lying about it. They're omitting the information. There's at least 25 earthquakes here in the Indonesia area that they are not telling us about. Okay? There's earthquakes over here in New Zealand that they are not telling us about. Okay? They're just not. This agency cannot be trusted. I've told you this before. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple earthquakes that hit earlier today. This earthquake over here in Afghanistan woke me up. This was a 5.0 magnitude earthquake that hit earlier today. A 5.0 is a large earthquake, but down here south of there is a 5.1. I believe both of these earthquakes were substantially larger than they're telling us about. It's a 5.1, and they're only showing us about this, a 4.3 aftershock. A 4.3 aftershock. There's at least a half dozen or more aftershocks from this 5.1 quake. This tells you what is going on. They will not ever be honest with any of us. Ray Spur, my friend, is back. Thank you, Ray. God bless you, brother. Appreciate you here. Anyway, guys, this is serious. Okay? This is just some of the earthquakes that hit. Let's go over here to western Iran. Okay? Here's a 4.4 moderate quake here. Now this place all through here has about 30 earthquakes that they haven't told us about. Well, joy, glory be. There's about 15 earthquakes over here in Turkey that they haven't told us about. There's about 50 earthquakes over here in this region of Greece. Like I said, 50. Going over here into Italy and Sicily, we have probably 25 earthquakes that have hit this region alone that they haven't told us about. None. Zero zilch. Okay? All over this area. Over here in Gibraltar, Spain, Portugal, the Azores, down here in the Canary Islands, they have not said a dang word. Okay? If I went to pull the information from the EMSC, which is the European agency, I could show you what has happened today. And it's serious. Now, I want to tell you about something else that's happened near me. Let's go back to South Carolina. This is Elgin, South Carolina. We've talked about this place before. We had another 1.2 magnitude tremor here. Now, guys, this is another place that I deem serious because the agency doesn't tell the truth at all. Period. They will never tell the truth. Okay? It just won't happen. I don't think they'll ever let it happen. Sad. A sad day. They'll never let it happen. Now, I have some more information about this specific earthquake region. As I've been telling you, this area is subjected to earthquakes. Why? Because the North American plate is being pushed by the Atlantic plate. You know where the Atlantic Ocean is? That's the Atlantic plate. And the Atlantic plate is pushing on the North American plate. And it's pushing the North American plate south-southwest. We've shown you earthquakes in this area, this whole region, during the past year. And we've shown you and represented to you what has been going on. Now we have someone that came out today that is a retired geologist from South Carolina, and he came out today and said that, oh my gosh, it is water that has seeped into the plate area that has allowed the plates to move in a strike-slip fashion. A strike-slip fashion. Okay? Causing the plates to move. Folks, it's not that. It's not that. It blew me away when I read that story earlier. It blew me away. It is almost a complete falsehood. It's almost a complete falsehood. Let me see if I can pull up the original story that I had here. Oh gosh, where'd it go? I just thought this was wild that this geologist could say, oh, it's water that has seeped into the areas around the plate, around the fault, and is causing the fault to move. It is a lot more than just that. Okay? It's a lot more than just that. Heaven forbid that they can tell us the truth. Okay? Let me show you something here. I'm going to close out this USGS map. This is showing Elgin, Elgin, South Carolina, where this earthquake hit. A tremor. We've seen upwards of a 3.8 magnitude earthquake, and it may get larger. Every earthquake has a 15% of having a larger earthquake come of it. It could get larger. Okay, let me show you another diagram here that'll prove my point here. Okay, this brown area on this slide is the North American craton. Again, the Atlantic plate is pushing the North American plate south-southwest. Now, as you can see on this craton edge, this brown area, this is the Eastern Continental Divide, and it goes all the way up into Canada. We've shown you earthquakes that have happened up into Quebec, New Brunswick area, all the way down through Maryland, Maine, all the way down into New York and Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Why? Why is this happening? Because the Atlantic plate is pushing on the North American plate. This whole area, folks, this whole area including around Elgin, South Carolina, is on the Eastern Craton, which if you notice, is the Continental Divide. The Continental Divide. Okay? Elgin is in the foothills of the Continental Divide. That's why we're getting these earthquakes hitting. Hold on a second, I may still be able to find this article that I wanted to read you. I think it's very important. Okay? The article came from Newsbreak. Okay? Again, they say, this article says, scientists may have found what's causing the South Carolina quakes. I'm going to read this to you because I think it's important to understand. This comes from Columbia, South Carolina, and this also comes from a TV station. And I'll identify that TV station in a few minutes. Water seeping deep into the ground might be what has caused a swarm of earthquakes in the Midlands region of South Carolina, according to scientists. More than 60 earthquakes have been recorded here since December in this area near the towns of Logoff and Elgin. about 20 miles northeast of Columbia. Now, some geologists suggest that an initial December quake may have allowed water from the watery river to seep into new cracks opened up by the quake, setting off additional tremblers. Okay? Pradeep Tawani, a retired geologist and former director of the South Carolina Seismic Network at the University of South Carolina, suggests that the additional quakes might be the result of hydroseismicity, the effect of water impacting earthquake faults. Quote, "What I'm thinking is contributing to all these earthquakes was the month to month and a half of very high water levels that they've had." He says, or he's being established as a leading authority on the impact of water on seismic activity. Okay, that's what the state newspaper of Columbia is saying. Those pressure pulses are going into the fractures of the fault, and the idea is that water moving above the ground can increase pressure on water below the ground. Of course, when you have a heavy substance or movement above the ground, on the top of the ground, it's going to affect things below the ground. That's normal. Okay? So above ground water pressure can increase pressure on the water below the ground. The downward pressure in turn can cause the earth to move. Yes, that is a possibility. But it's not water seepage between the plates necessarily. Yes, water is some kind of lubricant. It can help lubricate substances. Okay? According to this scientist, he says, we think it probably ought to be looked into, said Scott Howard, the state's chief geologist with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Howard and Talawi are examining river levels in the Watery River, which are affected by the Lake Watery Dam upstream. They're also seeking information about changes in water wells, cloudy water, or sinking water levels that could show a relationship to earthquakes. 5 earthquakes with a magnitude of more than 3.0 have been recorded in this area, up to 4.5. That's my throw into this. And that happened last month. Those events were felt across the entire region. Those events were felt all the way up to Virginia. And as I reported, when those earthquakes hit, that 4.5 hit, remember that? I reported on that earthquake, and I said there's no way in heck that a 4.5 earthquake can be felt all the way up into Virginia, hundreds of miles away. No way. It had to have been a larger quake, and I stand by that. Okay? According to Mr. Howard, the largest quake that they had was a 3.6 in magnitude last month. That's not true. It was a 4.5. And he said that event was felt across the region. You can, again, I'm going to tell you that there's no way in God's green earth that a 3.6 magnitude quake can be felt across the entire region. A 3.6 is considered a small quake, and only the area in that, the people in that area are going to feel it. It's not going to be felt all the way up into Virginia and down into Georgia like people said it was. Okay? They're saying the earthquake fault zone isn't connected to bigger faults near the Atlantic coast. I'm saying bourgeois. It is. We pointed it out. Looking at this map, you can see what I'm talking about. Okay? It's the Eastern Craton, the Eastern Continental Divide. Okay? You can see that. You can very much see that. Now, I'm going to show you, go back here to the USGS map. I want to come back here, and I want to show you what's going on. You can see where Elgin, South Carolina is here on this map. Okay, you can see it in the foothills. It's plainly visible on this map that this is over in the foothills of the Eastern Craton, the foothills of the Eastern Continental Divide. That is the real issue. Okay, I don't think it has anything to do with water seepage. That may be a contributor to it, but that is not the reason that these earthquakes have hit. It's not the reason at all. The main reason is the Atlantic plate pushing on the North American plate on the Continental Divide, the Atlantic plate pushing on the North American plate, pushing it south-southwest. That is the main contributor to these earthquakes in Elgin, North Carolina, or South Carolina, the earthquakes down in Sumter, South Carolina, the earthquakes down in Savannah, Georgia, the earthquakes in North Carolina, the earthquakes in Virginia, Pittsburgh area, all over Philadelphia, all the earthquakes up into New York and Connecticut, New Jersey, Washington, Maine. That's why these earthquakes are happening. The Atlantic plate pushing the North American plate south-southwest. That's the reason here. They can say all they want about what they think, and it's just freaking not true. It's not. We continue to show you every week what's going on. Now I'm moving across. I'm going to go back to the Pacific Northwest in just a minute. We've been on the air just over an hour. Now, I'm going over here to the New Madrid Fault. Today, over here in Missouri, Howardville, Missouri, USGS has a 1.4 tremor here. Well, that's all fine and good. Yes, it did happen. But there's more earthquakes and tremors here in Tennessee than they want to talk about. There's more earthquakes here in Missouri than they want to talk about. Let's go further west. This is Arkansas, Ravandon, Arkansas. Okay, last week we showed a seismogram from Ravandon, Arkansas. Okay, Tyronza, Arkansas. This is over just southwest, or excuse me, not southwest, southeast of Jonesboro, Arkansas. Today here at Ravandon, Arkansas, we have a 2.3 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake. Okay, why did I start off with the Eastern Continental Divide? Because the Atlantic plate is pushing on the North American plate, and it's pushing it south-southwest. That's putting increased pressure on the New Madrid Fault. That's one of the reasons this New Madrid Fault is moving. And we're going to talk more about this tomorrow and in the days to come. We're also having earthquakes over here in Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska. Why? Oil and gas fracking for the most part. Yes, there are some seismic faults in these areas, but for the most part it's oil and gas that is responsible for these earthquakes that are hitting. This is in Cushing, Oklahoma today at 2.4. Now I'm going to go further south now into Texas. This is southwestern Texas, Toyah, Texas, where we had a 3.3 magnitude earthquake today. This is oil and gas all day long. Oil and gas all day long. Let me zoom in here and let me show you something. Okay, you're going to see this. See these little gray areas, these blocks of gray, squares and rectangles all over here? Those are oil and gas fracking going on. Oil and gas pads. And if we could get any closer, we could probably actually see the oil and gas pumps and jacks here. You can just barely tell right here above this one, just above this water area here, this pool where they've combined sewage and chemicals in this water pool to inject deep inside the earth. while they pull up oil and gas out of the earth here. You can see the pump and jack here. All over this area are pumps and jacks, everywhere. Okay? There are pumps and jacks everywhere. And as a result, we had that 3.3 earthquake in Toyah, Texas today. This is an oil field. And it wasn't the only earthquake that happened here. Other earthquakes west of here also hit. Yes, they were not as strong, and that's why USGS is not telling us about it. Okay? I'm going up into the Pacific Northwest now. Okay? You see this earthquake up here on Vancouver Island? This is a 0.7 tremor here. Actually, it's not even that. It's a microquake. A microquake. It's on Vancouver Island. It's in the Cascadia subduction zone region. The subduction zone region. Now I'm going to go south here to North Saanich, Canada, Vancouver Island. Okay, you see this diamond shape here? They're saying this 1.3 magnitude explosion happened 13 kilometers southwest of North Saanich, Canada. Okay, look at this, guys. It's a wooded area. It's forested. And there was an explosion here. There is no industry here. I don't think they're clearing forests here. This wasn't an explosion, guys. This was a quarter of a mile deep. 0.2 kilometers deep. A quarter of a mile deep. They don't have explosions a quarter of a mile deep. I'm sorry. There are no quarries here. It's a forested area. There are some homes. No businesses anywhere in this area. It's not industrial. There's no explosion here. Nowhere near here. Okay? This was something to do with plate tectonics in the least. Okay? Vancouver Island, north of Saanich. We go further south, over here to Victoria, Canada. We've had a 1.6 here, and we've had a 0.7. 1.6 tremor and a 0.7 microquake. Okay? Victoria, Canada. This is all part of the Pacific Northwest. It's all part of the Cascadia subduction zone. We're going to have these quakes. It's going to happen. This particular microquake was 16.3 kilometers deep. Okay, 16.3 kilometers deep. About 15 miles deep. This 1.6 was also about 15 miles deep. 16.7 kilometers deep. Okay? It's over here in the Puget Sound area here. Okay, this is the Strait of Juan de Fuca here. The Strait of Juan de Fuca. The area is moving. We continue to tell people about it. The area is moving. We go further east. 1.6 magnitude tremor here at Glacier Peak. This is a volcano. This is on the western flank of Glacier Peak, a volcano. And I've got a seismogram to show you that earthquake. Okay? Further south from there. This is this is another seismic event, a 0.8 microquake near Concrete, Washington. Concrete, Washington. Okay? Let's drop down further here to just north of Mount Rainier. North and west of Mount Rainier, we had a 0.7 microquake here. We had a 0.6 near Carbonado in the foothills, the northwestern part of Mount Rainier here. And just west of Mount Rainier, we had a 0.4. Now they're equating these same earthquakes to Ashford, Washington. They have nothing to do with Ashford. They have everything to do with the volcano. Mount Rainier, guys. Mount Rainier. Look at this. Here's a 1.2 tremor in Mount Rainier. This is 3/4 of a mile deep inside the mountain. This is volcanism. This is magma beneath the summit of this volcano. 1.7 kilometers deep, 3/4 of a mile deep. 1.2. Here's a 0.7 microquake. This was just over a mile deep, 2.2 kilometers. This one is 0.5 microquake. This is just barely a mile deep. This has everything to do with the volcano that's getting ready to erupt. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to show you steam signatures coming from Mount Rainier. Okay? I'm going south here just to show you some other things in the Cascadia subduction zone area. Okay? They say this is a 2.0 magnitude explosion. A 2.0 magnitude explosion about a half-mile deep near Medford, Oregon, 3 miles northeast of Medford. Now look at this, guys. Okay? Look where this is. I'm zooming in here. It's in the field. There's nothing going on here. There's no industry here. This is a field. Yes, this photograph, this satellite photograph, is probably a little bit old. But I don't think this field has changed to industry. I don't think that farmer is blowing up his field. A half-mile deep. Explosions don't happen a half-mile deep. They just don't. They don't happen. So we had a 2.0 explosion northeast of Medford, Oregon. It wasn't an explosion. Let's go further west here. This is on the Gorda Escarpment today. The Gorda Escarpment. This is west of Ferndale, California. This was a 2.8 magnitude earthquake. A 2.8 magnitude earthquake in the southern region of the Cascadia subduction zone. The Gorda Escarpment goes east to hook up with the Cascadia subduction zone and the San Andreas Fault here, right here. This is called the Triple Junction. The Triple Junction, where the San Andreas Fault comes out of Northern California, goes out to sea out here, meets up with the Cascadia subduction zone, which goes north, and the Gorda Escarpment that continues west out into the ocean. And that's where this earthquake happened today. Out here towards this part of the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment continues far out into the Pacific. Okay? And it goes all the way over to Kamchatka, Russia, by the way. Well, the Gorda Escarpment here also has another fault zone. This is the Gorda Ridge that runs north-northeast from the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Ridge goes over here to the Blanco Fracture Zone that runs from the Gorda Ridge out northwest over here to the Juan de Fuca Fault. The Juan de Fuca Fault continues north, goes up north, past Oregon, past Washington, past Vancouver Island, and goes almost over here to Queen Charlotte Island. Okay? The Cascadia subduction zone connects there and goes all the way down here to the Gorda Escarpment. It follows the coast down here to the Gorda Escarpment. This is the region where we consider this the the Cascadia subduction zone region. Okay? The Cascadia megathrust earthquake will probably happen right up in this area here that I'm showing you. Right up in this area here. It will affect all points north towards Alaska. The shaking will affect Alaska and Canada. It's going to affect Washington, Oregon, and California, and probably into northern Mexico. Why? Because the Cascadia subduction zone reaches down here to the San Andreas Fault. And the San Andreas Fault goes all the way through California into Mexico here. It's going to affect this entire area. Okay? Now I want to leave this map now. Okay, we're going to leave this map and leave it alone. I want to show you seismograms now. I hope I've made my point. Everything that I'm going to show you, there's a reason for. There's very much a reason for it. Now, I'm going to start with Glacier Peak because the USGS in their infinite wisdom told us that there was seismic energy that was detected at Glacier Peak. So I want to show you this. Okay, here, right here, I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, see that 1.6 magnitude earthquake just after midnight last night? That 1.6 magnitude tremor? It happened late last night, early this morning, at just after midnight. Probably about 3 or 4 minutes after midnight this morning. Now you can see what else is going on here. Okay? Just below that is what is a magma churn signal. Okay, this happens at volcanoes. Magma churn is a signal where there's very hot magma, superheated magma beneath the surface of this volcano, and it causes this signal here. But the signal also is indicating steam being let loose from the magma inside this volcano. Okay, these are steam signatures here. 6 to 7% of magma is water, and when there are holes inside the lava rock, which is the dome of the volcano, the plug of the volcano, there's tiny holes in there created by the magma hitting the plug of the volcano. Magma coming up and hitting the plug of the volcano, causing the plug to fracture. My fingers here representing fractures in the plug. And as the steam enters this plug, enters these fractures in the plug, the heat expands those fractures, further fracturing that plug, allowing the steam to escape. But at the same time, that plug is fracturing, making the plug more porous, making it weaker. And at some point, that's going to help the magma escape the volcano, and there's going to be an eruption. Okay? And I'm sorry I was not able to show you this example, but I'm going to show you it again. The magma represented here by my right hand is hitting that plug of the volcano, constantly hitting it. And the fractures in the plug represented by my fingers here, there's fractures, and the steam being released by the magma goes up into through the fractures in that plug, causing those fractures to widen out even more. That's a simple physics lesson. Heat increases space. Heat increases space. It allows the steam to more freely escape the magma that is also at some point in time going to weaken that volcanic plug. And enough magma hitting that plug is going to make that plug fracture literally into a million pieces, and we're going to get a volcanic eruption. That's what's going on at every volcano. At every volcano. Okay? But since this agency decided to tell you about Glacier Peak, I showed you that seismic signature showing that tremor. But you also notice just below this magma churn signal indicating steam escaping also, we have two more tremors here. Probably a 1.2, 1.3 magnitude tremor down here. Okay? That's what's really going on here. And down below that we have other signatures, maybe a 1.3, 1.4 tremor down here earlier this afternoon. Just about 1:30 this afternoon. Where you see these thicker lines, these thicker lines represent magma going through the magma channel during each specified interval of time. Each line represents a period of 15 minutes here. Okay, that's what's going on here. It's going on at on every seismogram all throughout this region. I'm going to jump down to Mount Rainier now. Okay, Mount Rainier. Now, I've told you about magma and earthquakes at Mount Rainier. The magma causing rock fracturing inside the volcano. Magma going into the magma channels causing rock fracturing. And that's exactly what we have here. Each line here that has a dot in the middle of it is an earthquake. Every line, vertical line here, vertical lines going up and down, that has a dot in the middle of it is an earthquake. The thicker the line is, the larger earthquake. And this seismogram is about 40% of real world. Imagine if we had real world situation here, where USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network were telling us the truth. You see a lot of other vertical lines here on this seismogram, though that is steam coming from Mount Rainier, and Mount Rainier is steaming like a steam locomotive, like an old-time steam locomotive. These other lines here that have these little dots, they're earthquakes and tremors at Mount Rainier. And I showed you the earthquake map coming from the USGS. They said there were tremors. Yes, there were. And there were microquakes. Yes, they are. But there are more earthquakes and tremors and microquakes than they're even showing on the map. Okay? Then we can come out and ask the question further. Why are they not showing all the earthquakes and tremors on the map? I'd like that question answered too. But over 3 years ago, on July 4th, 3 years ago, we had the 7.1 earthquake in Ridgecrest. A reporter asked Lucy Jones, a seismologist at the time, she's retired now, they asked her why they didn't have all the earthquakes showing on the map. And Lucy Jones spat out, they don't have room. I call bushwater that. It's BS. They have the room, they just don't want to show you what is going on. As you can see, there are plenty of tremors and quakes happening at Mount Rainier. But they're not showing us. They never will come out and tell us the truth. There's plenty of things happening at Mount Rainier. Let's drop down to Mount St. Helens. Let's go south to Mount St. Helens. There's a lot happening there too. Okay, I'm going over to the dome of Mount St. Helens. Okay, they didn't say anything on the earthquake map about Mount St. Helens, did they? Not at all. but you can see the earthquakes hitting Mount St. Helens today. The top of this, we have the top of this seismogram here, we show an earthquake in light blue. Show an earthquake in light blue. Okay? This is after midnight last night here at Mount St. Helens. Again, this represents a seismic event that happened last night at midnight, early this morning. And you can see other earthquakes here as well. That one in light blue is a 2.0 magnitude earthquake here at Mount St. Helens. We have lesser tremors here at Mount St. Helens. You can also see these lines that are thicker than others. That is magma, pulsed magma signals. Pulsed magma is where the line is very thin, then it becomes thicker, and then it becomes thinner again. That's a pulsed magma signal. Magma entering the volcano. These other blotches here, that is when magma comes into the volcano and it hits rock, solid rock. The magma is coming into the volcano under pressure and it's causing rock fracturing. And that's when you see these little points coming out of these tremor signals. Okay? You see these points going up and down out of these tremor signals. Those are rock fracturing tremors. Okay? You also see some signals, vertical lines that have curlicues on them. Those are steam signals. Those are steam signals here at Mount St. Helens. And you can see that Mount St. Helens has had a lot of earthquakes today. A lot of earthquakes. Now, I want to show you something here. This is also important. Look in the center left of your screen here on this slide. That is a magma churn signal. Magma churn signals, again, usually are typically 23 to 24 lines high. This one happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? This is less than 1/3 of true. This seismogram is less, probably 30% or less of what is real world. 30% or less than what is real world. So these seismic signals you see were larger. Those were larger seismic signals, larger earthquakes, larger tremors than are being shown here. Substantially larger. Okay? Multiply that times 3. Multiply it by 3 and you can see what real world is. That's Mount St. Helens. Okay? Let's go further south. Let's go down to Mount Hood. Let's go south to Mount Hood. Okay? I'm going to take you down to two seismograms here. This first one here is Helens Vault. Or not. Okay, I'm sorry. This is Mount St. Helens. I'm sorry. My bad. I want Mount Hood. My bad. I want to take you down to Timberline. Timberline is on the western flank of Mount Hood. Okay, look at this. This particular seismogram comes from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Let me enlarge it a little bit for you. Okay, look at this. Look at all these signals here. Each line again represents a 15-minute time period. You can see the thinner lines turning into thicker lines and going back down to thinner lines. Pulsed magma, P-U-L-S-E-D, pulsed magma signals. Magma entering the volcanic chamber, entering the tunnels in the volcano. Okay, you can see fracturing going on. You can see the signals where it has spikes up and down. That's rock fracturing going on, caused by magma. These are earthquakes, folks. Some of these are microquakes. but there are a bunch of tremors happening here at Mount Hood. And I want to focus on this, okay? Look right here, now in the center of your screen. This particular seismogram came out just after midnight on the black line there in the center of your screen. Those are earthquakes at Mount Hood. 2.5 to 2.7, maybe even 2.8 magnitude earthquakes, minor earthquakes hitting Mount Hood last night. And just after that was midnight, and you can see the earthquakes and tremors still continuing. You can see the magma continuing to enter the volcanic chamber, the pulse magma signals. Okay? That was Mount Hood last night. Let's jump down to Sisters Volcano south of there. Now there's volcanoes, quite a few volcanoes between Mount Hood and Sisters. But USGS in their infinite wisdom and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network doesn't show much of anything going on. They screw up, excuse my French, excuse my phrase, they mess it up. They don't report reality, is what I'm saying. They falsify the data. We've proven that time and time again. This particular seismogram here is Sisters Volcano. Sisters Volcano is actually 3 volcanoes. Sisters North, Sisters Center, and Sisters South. This is on a volcanic watch. It's under a yellow condition still. It's been under yellow for quite some time because scientists believe with all of this activity that Sisters volcanoes could erupt. And you can see what is going on here. I'm showing you. There are tremors hitting Sisters Volcano. This light blue signal here in the center top of your screen here. Again, this is just after, this particular one is just after 9 o'clock last night. Okay, this is a 2.4, 2.3 magnitude earthquake. This light blue signal is a 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 magnitude quake. This one on black to the left is also probably a 2.3, 2.4 magnitude earthquake. It's a line that's got a dot. Okay, that indicates an earthquake. And you can see these earthquake signals substantially all throughout this seismogram. And you cannot see all of these lines, but there are some tiny little lines here that are vertical lines that are not quakes. Those are steam signals. So we see magma entering the volcano. With each line, there's magma pulse signals here. And most of these lines are very thin. This seismogram is showing maybe 20 to 22% of real world. These signals would look substantially larger and the lines would be thicker if they were showing real world. But they're not. They're not telling us the truth here. That's Sisters. Let's go further south to Newberry Volcano, Newberry Craters. Okay? Newberry Craters is another volcano. Actually, there's several craters in that area, but there's basically one volcano. And Newberry is getting to the point where Newberry is going to erupt. And unfortunately, I didn't, dadgummit, the Newberry seismogram didn't make it to my database, I'm sorry. So we're going to skip out on that. I'm going to show you Crater Lake south of Newberry. Crater Lake here. This is very interesting, okay? This is Cleetwood Cove. This is the northeast side of Crater Lake. Look at this. Again, you see a lot of magma. These are thicker lines here. You're seeing a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber here. You're also seeing these vertical lines that are spikes. Those are earthquakes and tremors. hitting Crater Lake. It's a volcano. There's a big, huge alpine lake at the top of the volcano. A huge, beautiful blue alpine lake at the top of this volcano. But there's magma entering this volcano. You can see the vertical lines here, the thicker vertical lines. These are earthquakes and tremors hitting Crater Lake. Look at that. This is this afternoon here. This is this afternoon going into this evening at Crater Lake. These are earthquakes. This volcano is shaking. And some of this shaking can be felt by anybody that's even anywhere near it. That's Crater Lake. This is in south central Oregon. Let's go south to Mount Shasta. South to Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta is also very active, guys. Look at this. Now, I actually had pulled 2 seismograms to show you. Okay, this one shows you thin lines here for the most part. Some of them are thicker. Again, this shows you incoming magma into this volcano. You see vertical lines here. This seismogram is maybe showing us 15% of real world. These vertical lines would be larger, and you could see these horizontal lines going across. Each line represents 20 minutes of time. 20 minutes of time on this seismogram. But there are plenty of tremors and earthquakes hitting here at Mount Shasta. Okay, that's what's going on at Shasta. Let's drop down to Mount Lassen. I want to show you Lassen. Okay, this is Mount Lassen, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final volcano we're going to talk about tonight. Look what's going on here. Look at the top of this seismogram. That's heavy-duty magma infill coming into the volcano. That's a lot of magma coming into the volcano. You can see vertical lines. The vertical lines with dots are earthquakes. Mount Shasta is experiencing earthquakes. The vertical lines that don't have dots are steam signals. Mount Lassen is steaming. Mount Lassen is steaming. Now you see a lot of magma at the top. It was substantially less going into today. The top of this was yesterday evening, last night. As we came into today, the magma calmed down a bit. But we still see some thicker lines here and there. But you're seeing earthquakes and steam being emitted from the volcano. Down here to the bottom here of this seismogram, let me enlarge it here so you can truly see what's going on here. Okay? Down here in the center of your screen here, right now, this is this afternoon. Okay? That is magma coming into the volcanic chamber, and you see the little spikes top and bottom. These are seismic disturbances caused by the magma coming into the volcano under pressure, hitting rock inside the volcano, causing the rock to fracture. And the rest of this is you see some vertical lines with curlicues down here at the bottom. That is steam. You see the curlicues in some other places on this seismogram as well. The magma is releasing steam. Mount Lassen is steaming. There's also a lot of magma coming into this volcano still. It doesn't seem like a lot at this point with this particular seismogram at the bottom, but that's still a lot of magma coming into that volcano. It's still moving. It's still growing. Okay? When that magma is coming up inside the volcano, it's causing uplift in the volcano. Uplift in the volcano. And that could lead to a lot of different scenarios. Some of them good and some of them not good. We can talk about that sometime. But this is what's going on. Now, the volcanoes that we talked about tonight are part of what they call the Cascade Mountains. The Cascade volcanoes. There are about 15 volcanoes in the Cascade volcanic range that are due for eruption. Due for eruption. They start in Canada, go down into the United States at Mount Baker, just south of the Canadian border. We did not show you Mount Baker tonight. We can do that another night. Besides that, they rarely show the truth about Mount Baker anyway. Mount Baker is also steaming. Mount Baker has a lot of magma beneath the surface, incoming magma. But rarely does USGS or the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network tell the truth about Mount Baker. They can't hardly tell the truth about any of the other volcanoes either. You have to go and dig into the guts of the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network to pull out any good information, because you have to do that. They do not just offer it plainly for anyone. You have to do your digging and investigating. I look about 100 to 150. I look at about 100 to 150 seismograms every day, every single day. And I have a lot more to show you tonight, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that for tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm going to show you seismograms in Southern California tomorrow. I'm also going to try to get into the New Madrid tomorrow. If I don't, I'll get into the New Madrid for sure on Wednesday. We had earthquakes on the New Madrid fault today. They're likely to continue. They don't stop. There's still a lot of seismic energy over in the New Madrid fault. It's not going to end. It's continuing. Folks, as I stated here in the beginning of this talk tonight, there is plenty more information, and it's happening. Please, folks, please prepare. Please get all of your gear ready. Please prepare at the earliest point you possibly can. We don't have much more time. Between the natural disasters and between the politics that we're having throughout our world, things are happening. And it's putting us in very much dire straits. It's putting us in danger. If you don't prepare, you're not going to be ready for what is happening. You're not going to have the food. You're not going to have plans on what you are going to do to face the emergencies in your life. You're going to be left in the dark, stumbling, for lack of a better word. You need to get ready. You need to have a plan. Write your emergency preparedness plans. And I know there are dozens, if not hundreds of people that we speak to every day that have not written their emergency plans yet. You're not listening to me. You should be listening and doing what I'm advising you to do. Second, you need to have food storage. You need to have survival food. You need to have emergency storage, a supply kit with food, with clothing, with medicines, prescription and otherwise. You need to have good boots or shoes, good boots and or shoes. You need to have a supply of cash. At some point in time, they're going to shut off our power. The ATMs are not going to be active. And then you're going to be plumb out of luck with no money. Nothing. You need to have a supply kit. You also need to have water. You need to be getting your water and getting it now, if not sooner. Please, folks, do that. Do that. It's important. It's vital to your salvation. It's vital to your world. It's vital to you and your family surviving. Okay? These are things that are all absolutely vital. You need to do this. Okay? Don Patoka just said something that's very important here, and I'm going to repeat it. The real measure of our wealth is how much would we be worth if we lost our money. Think about that. Think about it. No power, no gas, no water, no ATM, no nothing. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now, I shared this scripture with you once before, and I'm going to share it again. I'd like to leave you with a thought at the end of our programs. This is my thought to you tonight. It comes from the book of Philippians in the New Testament. I've been talking a lot about the Old Testament as of late. I've shown you scriptures in both New and Old Testament. Tonight comes from Philippians chapter 1, verse 27. Only let your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Christ, that whether I come and see you, or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that ye stand fast in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel. Your plan. He's talking about plans. Emergency plans. Write your stories down. Write your family history down. Okay? Let only your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Christ, that whether I come and see you, or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that ye stand fast in one spirit, and with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel. Brothers and sisters, I showed you a book last week called Stand Ye in Holy Places. I believe in that. If we do what we are supposed to do, if we're prepared, we should not fear. Fear only comes from those that are not prepared. Stand ye in holy places. Be prepared. I love you more than you guys possibly even know. I love you very, very much. Please, please do as we have counseled you to do. Be prepared. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll talk about Southern California, get into New Madrid. On Wednesday, we will get deep into New Madrid and talk about other things that have happened as well. God be with you, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. God be with you till we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. As Walter Cronkite would say, and that's the way it is. July 18th, 2022. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.